Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Whale Nerds Podcast. This is episode number 89. My name is Slater, and I'm here with Adam and Caitlin.
Isn't it 88?
No, it's 89. Hi.
Oh, just kidding.
Dude, you're gonna ruin my intro like that?
I don't even know. I don't even know what day it is.
88 was last
Sup,
week with Kate
dudes?
Cummings.
Oh, true. Hello, friends. What's up?
Just out
Just
here
little-
watching whales.
It's
Actually,
still
no, I'm
little
watching
up.
hurricanes.
The whale tails are
Living
up. Get it? Whale tails go up.
Slater's whale tails are trying to go up because he's trying to catch me in Happy Whale numbers, but it'll never happen.
Wow.
Oh, yeah, right, dude. I'm going back into my archives of 2014, 15, 16, 17. I'm just kidding.
Do you have photos from back then? I thought you lost a hard
Yeah.
drive.
Yeah, you're right. I did.
No
That's
way.
A sore subject. 16.
No
you know?
way. There's no way Slater has a bunch of photo ID sitting on a hard drive somewhere. The man's can't organize any of his hard drives. They're all just
Ooh.
willy-nilly. There's
Dang, you
This-
are airing
this
some
day with
dirty.
over-
Sorry, Adam, that I have
laundry.
so much footage that I can't keep
You
track
do.
of it.
trying to organize his freaking hard drives is impossible.
That's right.
Anyways, we're still on the podcast in case you guys forgot.
Oh, we are?
All right. So let's start with sightings. Adam, what did you see over the last 7 days?
Humpback whales, more humpback whales, and some common dolphins. And also, today I saw Rizzo's dolphins and common dolphins in a mixed group, and they were
Nice.
playing with each other, and that was super cool. I've actually never seen that interaction before.
What are the odds?
What are the freaking odds?
That
Oh, I know. We're gonna get to it.
yeah.
And then, you know what I did do last night? You guys know is I went to go film some bottlenose dolphin with my stupid expensive drone, and dude,
Got your memory card?
I was so mad. Okay, so the way that the Inspire works, it has a micro SD card slot and then the huge hard drive SSD card slot.
Yeah.
And the SSD hard drive is a terabyte, and it was freaking $1,600, but it won't write to that hard drive unless there's a micro SD card in the drone. And I'd taken mine out.
Why?
to
Like a
format it.
video cache or something?
It makes no sense. There's no reason why it shouldn't just go straight to the hard drive, but it has to go through the micro SD card first. And even if the micro SD card is full, it won't freaking record to the hard drive. So I forgot my SD card. So I went out there. It was the most gorgeous sunset ever. And I found a freaking sea otter, which I've never seen down here. Super, super cool. I know that they can be seen here, but it's super rare. And there's a sea otter just sitting there playing in the kelp, just sitting there. And I was like, well, I'm just going to watch this from my drone and not record anything. So that was my night.
Why does it have to? That doesn't make sense. Why does that have to
It
have an
makes
SD
It
card?
makes no sense.
But like, what's the point of that huge hard drive?
I know. It's because the big files, the big raw files go to that, and then it makes like a smaller, less.
Yeah, but it's so weird. Like SSD
standard
is
definition.
the fastest type of hard drive right now.
I know, but for whatever reason, it needs to go to the SD card before the SSD. It makes no sense. It makes me mad. So I just watched it from my drone, and that was cool, I guess.
Did you have a lot of Rizzos?
Yeah, today we had probably like 100 Rizzos with probably 50 commons. And it's super cool. I've never seen the interaction before. And then we had 9 different humpback whales, and the island packer boats are out today, and they had a group of 12 to 15. So there's a bunch of humpbacks. There's a bunch of humpbacks around right now. Just super awesome.
Heck
Cool.
yeah, dude.
Yeah. How about you guys? What's up? Hit me with it.
Caitlin?
You want me to go? Let's see. When did we last go?
I'm trying to
Friday
think.
through the weekend. We had lots of humpback whales off and on. It was sort of like a weird transition week where like the whales kind of cleared out of the area they had been for a few days. And so we had to like spread out and search some other areas. And then by like the big like the middle of the week this week, they were back like in big numbers where they had been. We had like a big rainstorm and stuff and like some windy weather, and we were like, I don't know where they're gonna go. But then after the storm, they were all back where they'd been, so that was nice. And then we had a really nice day with lots of Atlantic white-sided dolphins and humpback whales all in one area. And I was able to actually live stream on the Cape Ann Whale Watch Instagram and Facebook because we were close enough to shore on not today, yesterday. What was that, Thursday? And then today we were off because the remnants of Hurricane Ida came through last night and it was blowing like 50 knots of wind this morning. So,
ooh, yikes.
Yeah.
Do you guys lose service pretty easily when you leave the coast there?
Well, the boat's so fast that even though it's a 3 to 4 hour trip, like we might be, 12 to 15 miles offshore pretty quickly. Like on Sunday in the morning, we went down Stellwagen Bank and we were like 20 miles from the harbor.
Dang.
So, I mean, not from land, but we're south of Boston in like a weird dead spot. And so there's no cell service.
It's kind of funny how like when you get some wind, it like blows them around, and I feel like it takes them like a couple of days to get back to their little honey hole. Because we have the same thing here. We'll have like consistent whales in this one spot. Like we go there every day. There's a bunch of whales. They'll get a bunch of wind. It'll blow them around, and then they're just not there. And then it takes them a while to get back there, I feel like.
Yeah, well, and they like the spot they've been this summer, like they kind of like the bait can flush out of there pretty quickly. So we've all been kind of like surprised how much it's stayed.
Yeah.
And Saturday we tried to go out, but the sea conditions were too rough. We got outside the harbor for like 7 minutes and turned around.
Jeez.
And so then Sunday, because that spot had been drying up over the course of a few days, and then we had that big weather, we didn't feel confident going back there on Sunday. So in the morning, we went down to where all the Boston and Plymouth boats and stuff had been watching whales just because we knew there were whales there.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the afternoon, we called some boats out of the harbors up north of us. And we were like, well, did you find anything? And they were like, yeah. And so we're like, okay, we'll go back to our spot. Nice. It's way closer. It's like half the distance.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll see what happens tomorrow.
Yeah.
Every day is different.
Yep.
Every day is different. That's what you got to tell people on the boat.
Yep,
that's the thing. It's
exactly.
like people are like, oh, you saw 20 humpback whales yesterday. And you only saw 11 today. Like, what the heck? And it's like, every day is different, man. They're moving around.
But also
buddy.
like,
sorry.
You might see 20 humpback whales, but you're not going to get up close personal looks at each whale, like they're around, but you're not going to go visit with 20 individual whales necessarily. And so like 11 whales versus 20 whales, like still could be both great trips. Like you could still have it phenomenal encounters, even though it was 9 less whales. Like the quality of your trip could be the same or better.
Yeah. So. It's funny. We've been seeing like a lot of like groups of like 5 whales, and I wonder if they're just bachelor groups just hanging out together or what. But it seems like every year, kind of when we get towards the later end of the season, we'll see big groups of just 5 whales, and they're not feeding, they're just sitting at the surface.
We've had groups like that
socializing.
Too. But they're not all males. They're like this group of 3 we come across almost every day is a female and 2 males. We call it Valley and her 2 boyfriends.
Oh yeah.
And at some point during the encounter, Sword usually like loses his mind for a minute and does like a tail throw or something. And then like they all go back to just chilling out. But then sometimes there's another female in there, and it's different females throughout the season. And then sometimes there's like 2 or 3 other whales in there. And you're like, what is going on over here? But yeah, I don't know.
Never know.
Valley's a popular lady this summer, I guess. Everybody wants to hang out with her.
I want to hang out with her. All right, Slater, what's up?
What do you mean, what's up?
Hit us with it.
You just got off the water.
Yeah.
Literally.
It was a nice night. Well, since we last talked, I guess after you left, Adam, we've had a lot of lunch feeding. It kind of slowed. Did we have lunch feeding when you were here? Not much, right, Adam?
We were too busy with breaching whales and Rizzo's being tossed in the air.
That's true. Yeah, I think that it was weird. We had like a bunch of south wind, then Adam got here, and then that lunch feeding kind of slowed down, but we had a lot of breaching through those couple days. That's what kind of got us through those couple days. We had a lot of breaching. And then this last week we had like crazy good lunch feeding again for like 3 or 4 days in a row. And then yesterday and the day before we started having south wind again, and all of a sudden all those whales like just spread out. There was no whales to the south. Today it was like our scariest day. We had I went up. No, yesterday was really scary actually. I went to the south side and there was no whales. And usually we had whales like within 3 miles of the harbor every day off the south side of the canyon, and there was none. So then I went towards Marina, like I went like 4 miles to the south, nothing there. And I was like, okay, I'm scared. So I ran to the north. And I ended up finding a group of like 5 whales, and then lunch feeding whales. And we had lots of humpbacks up towards SoCal. All the whales seemed to have moved north. And then today we went up to that spot and we only saw 4, like all the way from home to Moss Landing to SoCal. We only saw, which is like a 12-mile run to where we found whales. So it took a while. But then towards the afternoon, a bunch of whales from the north kind of came across the canyon. Yeah, so there's still lots of whales around. I think there's still like at least 15 or 20 whales, but it's definitely a lot slower than like 3 days ago.
And you've been seeing a big old dorsal fin.
Oh yeah. We had 3 days in a row. We had fat fin, CA 171B, and then he's been hanging out with a female, which I guess over the last couple of years he started hanging out with these 2 females. He's usually a lone. One of our loner males, but he's been hanging out with these 2 females, and now there's only 1 female. So they think maybe she might have died or just moved on to another pod, I guess. But yeah, so it's CA 169 is the female that he's been hanging out with, and yeah, he was seen 3 times in a row, 3 days in a row, which is pretty cool. But he's one of the toughest killer whales to watch in the world, and Caitlin knows that. It's like, you're like, what's up, fat fin? And then it's like 1 mile behind you, and you're like, gosh, dang it.
Yeah.
Every time you think you have him, like we did have him 2 times in a row. We had him, like, we stayed up. Yeah, we paced him out, and then we're like, okay, and then he's behind you later. 6 o'clock. It's like, damn it.
Yeah. He does this thing where, like, I call it like his search patterns like spokes on a wheel, and so like he'll always be over a 1/4 mile in the opposite direction of where he went down.
Yeah.
Like he's just like doing this weird like search pattern. And then like sometimes he'll come up on the same heading a couple times and his dorsal fin will be kind of wavy and you're like, did he get something? And he's just eating it. Like, and then he goes back to searching. But like when he's in search mode, he's horrible to watch. Which, to be fair, like it's his life, right? He's trying to find something to eat. Like it doesn't matter what the hell we're doing.
You think like he has that search pattern because he's a lone male?
Yeah, I think so.
I think that's because like when we see, bigs, in a group together, they're pretty much traveling, and then when they're hunting, they kind of spread out, right? But they're still going in like a similar direction.
Yeah, I mean, he just has like this
guy literally, and then when
very erratic pattern, and it's like 8 to 11 minute dives, and you're like, this is brutal. Like,
no, and then you're like, all right, Fat Fin, it was nice seeing you, and then you turn, and then he'll be like in your wake, coming with you, and you're like, what the heck, dude?
Yeah, we just talked about this.
I remember that. I remember one night with JJ, we were coming in, and it was like, Fat Fin's with us now, like paralleling us, and we're like, what the heck?
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like Kate made a couple of close passes.
Yeah,
Kate the other day.
No, he made one real good close pass. She was like, dude, his pec fin like went under our boat.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely not boat shy, but like when he's in search mode, he does not, like, he's just gonna do his thing, and it's hard to know like how long he's gonna keep that pattern, like when you're trying to watch him. But I used to hate that, like everybody's like losing their minds, like we have to look at the killer whale, and I'm like, yeah, but he doesn't want us to look at it.
He's trying to watch right now. Yeah.
Well, it's funny because that most of the boats in Monterey have to see the killer whale, right?
Yeah.
So Kate Kate found Fatfin right in front of the harbor, and I missed him because I went to the south side, she went to the north, and so it's just like he was that way.
Yeah.
And so we're watching him, and then all of those Monterey boats, like all the Princess, Monterey Bay Whale Watch, and all of them are headed this way. Well, they're coming from there, right? So then they pass a group. They're like, we got like 5 or 6 or whatever whales here, but none of them stopped to watch those humpbacks because they had to see the killer whale.
They had to see
well,
the
guess
killer
what?
whale.
I told the lady on my boat, I said, this whale's going to be difficult. A lot of boats are going to come try to see him. I was like, let's go. I was like, they sound like they had a lot of whales down there and nobody's watching them. And we went down there, and sure enough, there was easily 10 humpback whales, all lunch feeding together. Then they split up into like 2 little groups of 5 or like 3 and 7 or whatever it was. But they split up, and oh my God, I had a lunch feed seriously like 40 feet like off my bow. And it was like, like the swells were pretty big. So it was almost like the sea lions were pushing the bait one way, and the next thing you know, it like went underneath them and out the back. And then a swell like swamped it back down towards me or whatever. And so like, I was like, it was awesome. Like the lady on my boat was so happy.
That's awesome.
That's good.
One more sighting I didn't mention was this morning. After we saw the feeding whales out at SoCo, I continued offshore to like 03 where we were having blue whales, and I found like a couple hundred Rizzo's dolphins. And I was watching them. They were all super playful. And a lot of times when we have like breaching Rizzos, like you'll realize when you get closer that like there's white sides kind of messing with them.
Mm-hmm.
Well, instead of that, today we didn't have any white sides, but we had, I only saw like 10 northern right whale dolphins. But so we had northern right whale dolphins, a couple hundred Rizzos, and then out of nowhere, like 10 short beak common dolphins. But what was so weird about that is I barely got looks at either of those two. And the Rizzos kind of continued on, and then I left. But then Kate ended up having northern right whale dolphins and common dolphins like bow riding and playing with her for like miles.
And they were
That's
porpoising.
super cool.
Yeah, and she said that
really cool porpoising video.
I think she said that like the northern right whale dolphins were like chasing the common dolphins at one point or something. Like they were definitely playing, or like I don't know.
Interesting.
But
how bold of them.
Yeah.
It's so funny because I was like,
character.
When I first saw them, I'm like, what are like? Is there sea lions in the middle of these Rizzos?
Like every time, dude.
Which definitely happens.
And the guy on my boat, I was like, dude, we got northern right whale dolphins. I'm like so pumped, and he's like, what? I'm like, that little tiny black thing that's like barely showing. It has, you know what I mean? Like it's like has no dorsal fin.
They can be tough, but they looked really good today. You should check out Kate's video. She had an awesome video.
She had a great show, but it was like, how do you explain to someone? Like, how do you make it so cool when it's like they're just seeing this little sliver? And I'm like, hey, just Google it when you get home, and you'll know that they're really cool underwater.
Mud skippers, man. Mud skippers.
Yep.
Oh, great. Sounds like we've all been having killer sightings. That's fall whale watching for you. I guess we're not there yet, but we're approaching it.
You really want it to be fall already.
Dude, I want those sunsets, brother.
I almost had one tonight, and then Ron
I almost had a sunset.
It was like a sunset for like the first hour. Well, it wasn't even. It's like it was like an hour and a half before even close to sunset. But it was like very. I'll show you some pics, but it was very like sunset lighting and like golden hour. And then I talked to Ron on the radio. I was like, "How's it looking down there?" Because like we have good light up here, but we were gonna lose it. And he goes, "There's definitely gonna be a sunset on the other side of this fog bank." And I was like, "Damn it." And the next thing you know, I just like lost all light, and I was like, "All right, we're gonna go in a little early. Like, no point to be out here."
Yeah,
we've been having sunsets every night, but I'm not in the ocean. I need my own boat.
I need to bring my boat down there.
You should. The sunsets have been awesome. If only you had some days off.
Why can't we have sunset? I know. I scheduled some, so you can make it up. What's it called? Adam.
Yes.
Why did you guys get sunsets, but we don't get sunsets?
Because the water's warmer.
Oh,
you guys are all fogged in.
Oh, lame. I'm gonna heat up our water. I'm gonna put a little
the shape of the land near the coastline and the temperature of the water.
Yeah, I get it. A whole bunch of science.
We're sciencing it right now. Yeah. Well, if you want sunsets, you know where to go. All right, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, Maui.
Put down some days. Put
Did you
some,
see Clark
put down
Little
some
sunset?
days. Yeah, dude, that was ridiculous. That looks super
Can you
good.
imagine? Why can't we just? I'll pay $1,000 to have like a guaranteed.
Who are you gonna pay it to?
I don't know, but a
The
guaranteed.
sunset gods.
Okay, Adam, would you pay $1,000 to have a guaranteed reaching like killer whale or humpback for like 1 hour straight at sunset, like perfect lighting wherever you want it?
$1,000 probably.
Oh
Okay.
my God.
Probably
What if we
would.
could all pitch in like 250 each, you know, or 350
Oh,
each or
easily,
something?
easily, dude.
Well, I just don't. Who's collecting the money? That's what I don't understand.
The sunset gods.
But
Poseidon
then also
himself.
the whale gods also have to have a cut, or what?
Poseidon himself. Here, let me ring him up real quick. I got his digits right here.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Anyways, so Whale Nerds Weekend, we have 12 spots left. So if you want to come get in on this awesome fall Monterey Bay action, you can book tickets at thewhalenerds.com, and you can either use the book now button on the homepage, or you can do thewhalenerds.com/trips. You can look at the trip information there, and you can book it from that page as well. But we're pretty excited to get together a cool group of whale enthusiasts, marine life enthusiasts, and we're going to have some cool topics and stuff too. And I don't know if any of you have been listening to the Hydrophone. I turned it on a little bit today, and I thought I heard a blue whale. I also heard a lot of boat noise, but I heard humpbacks for sure. But
Dude,
it's
Adam,
that time of year.
that night I texted you.
Off. Yeah, Slater and I shared
I'm
it in our
so
stories.
glad Adam
and they
was
were like,
awake.
"Ooh, ooh."
Yeah.
That's my
dude, it
favorite.
was
I love that.
nuts.
They're like,
Yeah.
"Ooh, ooh."
You guys want to know a really nerdy thing about Caitlin?
Yes.
Sometimes I turn it on to fall asleep to.
Dude, so do
Caitlin,
I.
I listen to it every single night. Are you
I know
kidding me?
you do.
I have AirPods in my freaking belly button when I wake
No,
up.
I
because
just play it out
sleep
loud in
with
my
it every
room.
night.
I mean, I don't have to worry about my
Dude,
wife saying
Yeah,
anything.
Margaret. No, you know what's the worst is literally this happened last night, and that's why Kate went on her big adventure off to sea today. Is because last night I was listening and I heard click, 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 and I'm like shoving it. I'm shoving it in Margot's ear. I'm like, Margot, it's a sperm whale. And then, and of course, right when I put it in her ear, like I lost service or something weird happened, and I like couldn't get it to play anymore.
She's like, Slater, go away.
No, she's actually likes to listen to it when I hand it to her, but I couldn't.
You're
yeah,
too slow
so-
on the draw.
The last like 3 nights in a row, we've been hearing sperm whales. It's just where are
Dude,
they, Caitlin?
dude,
It's so
Dude,
They're hiding.
They're in 800 feet of water in Santa Barbara. There's literally one of the island packer boats saw one, I don't know, 5 miles from shore, just like chilling in 800 feet of water.
I
Wait,
mean,
what do you
there's
mean?
definitely been one
They saw one
within a
recently?
couple miles of shore.
They saw
in
one.
Monterey.
They saw one last week.
Dude, you know what's funny is I feel like they see them quite often right there
In
because
the-
I'm pretty sure Lottie has seen them a couple times there.
It's the weirdest spot. Like there's no bathymetric lines or escarpments or anything. It's just like, okay, there's a sperm whale there. And then somebody also said they saw pilot whales. I don't know how true that is. I doubt that's
well,
true.
I don't know a lot about
I've seen pilot whales. in
how to
SoCal.
find squid if they're not spawning. You know what I mean? But there's times where like there's
Dude,
some
that
weird
makes no
spots in the
sense.
canyon, and like you'll see the Rizzos feeding,
Yeah.
and you see something on the depth sounder, and you're like,
What is
it
that?
has to be
Yeah,
squid.
explain me that, Caitlin. If they're not spawning here, because I just talked. I was walking by a boat today, and he's like, "I run the seiner," and I was like, "So you guys aren't catching squid right now?" And he's like, "There's no squid." And then I'm just like,
But-
"So why is there thousands of Rizzos out front then?"
There might not be any opalescent squid like market squid, but there's definitely something else.
That's true.
You know what I mean? Like they eat such a wide variety of squid.
Didn't someone
Dude.
see like 13 different types of squid in their body?
13 different sized beaks, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's
Oh,
13
okay.
different species of squid. It just means 13 different sizes of squid.
Hmm.
But it probably does mean quite a few different species.
Dude, imagine a freaking Rizzo's jumping out of the water with a freaking Humboldt squid tentacle wrapped around its
I mean, I
head,
feel like they probably could take on a small Humboldt.
Oh, for sure.
Humboldts
Those
are
are big,
big though.
Rizzos
Yeah.
are big too, though. Rizzos are
I've had-
freaking 12 feet long.
I've definitely laid next to Humboldts that are as big as me. Like as
Yeah,
tall as me,
yeah.
100%. Especially,
they
well, I guess I was
also-
also 15 when
I
I did
mean,
that,
you
so
also
I
have to
was
think about
smaller.
a toothed whale, maybe they work together.
Work together, exactly. 5 Rizzos munching on a freaking humbo.
Dang, we don't know that,
Yeah, we don't know.
So we have
Because
to
like
go deep.
sperm whales seem to take
Good
prey
morning.
like on their own or in
Yeah,
small
leave
groups,
it
but
there.
there's not really a lot of evidence for prey sharing. I think mostly just because we don't know how to document it. But like other odontocetes, like think about killer whales, like they prey share. So
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know. But anyways, Hydrophone, listen to it. It's MBARI Listening Room. The website is, let's see, I
It's
just
funny.
saved
I
it.
like how Caleb says MBARI.
MBARI,
I just say MBARI.
MBARI, whatever. MBARI.org/soundscape-listening-room. I'll put it on the Facebook in the comments where I put the other links for the notes for the episode.
It used to be on YouTube, but I don't know if it's on there anymore.
They like have their own in-house thing now that doesn't have the spectrogram. So when you go to the page, if you've never been there before, it looks kind of like
It's not there.
you could
have
miss
to
it.
scroll
Yeah.
down,
So it's like 4 paragraphs and it says live stream and it explains the live stream. And then it's just this little play bar that has a 0000 timestamp and you hit play and that will be the live stream. But you like look at it and you're like, is this a sample? What is this? This doesn't make any sense, but that's the live stream. So, and then they also have like recorded clips from like earthquakes and blue whale sounds and like other stuff. So if you want to check out the samples of pre-recorded things, you can as well. But this is starting to be the time of year where you're going to hear humpback whales feeding, but also is transitioning to song pretty soon. You can still, I thought I heard a blue whale earlier when I clicked on it.
sea lions.
Yeah. They sound like they're gargling.
It's funny
so
that
funny.
you can really hear the sea lions doing it. I wonder if you're hearing it at the surface. It's underwater. They do it underwater.
No, it's underwater. We've listened to it with the hydrophone on the boat before, Slater, and you like lost your mind.
Dude, Adam, one time on a boat at sunset, we were really French fried, and this guy was like had the hydrophone in, and he was putting these headphones on Kaylin and I, and the killer whales were like scary screaming. It was crazy.
Oh yeah, they were so loud.
That was the night I got my sunset photo
with Bart. I remember that.
And it was just like it seriously sounds like crying. It's like scary.
But they were like screaming. They were so excited about whatever they were eating. They were like literally
I think
screaming.
It was gray whale.
They've
been eating that gray whale all day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'll come up with $1,000 right now. Who do I give it to?
I thought you said you had Poseidon's phone number.
And
he's busy.
Your drone will automatically lock onto it breaching at a sunset with a 50mm lens.
Oh, Atlanta.
Adam's gonna cry right now.
So I've had this news article in the bank for a while about the hydrophone program in Monterey. So it started with like one small setup that they then added. I think it turned into like a 3 hydrophone array off Smooth Ridge. Now they have like a much better like network through this project called Sanct Sound. So like sanctuary sound. And I didn't know where the money had come from, but I guess there's actually a 4-year study happening in national marine sanctuaries around the US that's funded in part by NOAA and also for the US Navy. And it started in 2018 and it has money through 2022. And nice. So in addition to providing the live stream to Monterey, MBARI is also doing a large-scale soundscape mapping project of Monterey Bay National Marine Sanctuary. So they're trying to record and understand where sound sources are in time and space in regards to the sanctuary. So like rain and wind noise and vessel traffic and marine life and earthquakes and any other noises that you can hear, seal bombs, all kinds of stuff. And
don't you need like 3 different hydrophones so you can
they have a lot of coverage now. I think the live stream is still just coming from Smooth Ridge. I don't know for sure, but guess who we could ask?
They got all sorts of
stuff. Guess who we could ask.
Guess who we could ask.
How are we going to talk about this and not have him on the podcast right now?
Maybe
because he's going to be at Whale Nerds Weekend.
Yeah, so if you want to ask him any questions and hear from his lecture and stuff, maybe you should book the trip.
Yeah. So
people.
John Ryan, who is the research specialist that is the Soundscape project, is going to be speaking at Whale Nerds Weekend on Friday night. And he's also going to have a graduate student, Will, who's going to be speaking with him. But maybe we'll ask him to elaborate a little bit more on the Sanct Sound project. I'm sure he'll probably introduce like the place and the where the hydrophones are and that kind of stuff. But if he doesn't, we can follow up with more questions. But the article actually came on my radar because it was talking about like cruise ships had become before COVID. Cruise ships had become a rising industry in Monterey Bay. And so they're trying to get a handle on like, what does that mean for like impacts in the bay?
Absolutely.
And you can actually hear ships 50 miles offshore inside the bay, which if you turn on the hydrophone, a lot of the time you'll hear this low rumble that's just really annoying. And it's a cargo ship going by offshore. But cruise ships were only accounting for 1%, less than 1% of all vessel noise in the sanctuary boundary in 2019, even though that was the biggest visitation year from cruise ships to date. So, I mean, they are very loud and they do transmit sound right in the middle of the call range for some of the large baleen whales that use Monterey Bay, but it's less than 1% of all the vessel noise that's detected in the sanctuary throughout the year. So we'll see what happens in the 4 years that they do the study. They're just trying to get kind of like baseline information and get a good handle on what the acoustic habitat of the sanctuary is. And then hopefully that can turn into like some management recommendations, or at least have them understand like what's happening out there. So yeah, listen to the hydrophone. It's fun.
It's super fun. It's been going off lately.
And don't feel ashamed that you're super nerdy like us, because we do it. And we told everyone that listens to this podcast publicly that we do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Fall asleep listening to Monterey Bay. It's great.
I wonder, they should put one here. I wonder if, I mean, I know there's some out there.
I mean, they
might make it available.
They might have one. I bet they probably just don't have it publicly available.
Yeah. Well, I know they have the hydrophone set up, the whale acoustic buoy for the whale safe project.
Yeah.
I just don't know if it's readily available. It might be.
Yeah, I don't know. Okay, so because this is the time of year where you start to hear humpback whales making song-like sounds on the hydrophone, and then by the winter they are really singing in Monterey Bay, which is a feeding ground. I've pulled up 2 papers that kind of are related to this. One of them is in Frontiers. Let's see. Let me get the information. Frontiers in Marine Science. It's humpback whale song on a subarctic feeding ground. And this came out in May of this year. And it was a project that took place off the coast of Norway. And they had a hydrophone placed out near a cold water coral reef. And it's a place that's above the Arctic Circle. So it's pretty high up there. And they did hear whales singing, even though it's a feeding ground. And they also referenced another study where there have been songs recorded on the feeding grounds in Iceland in the winter as well. So saying that, it's an interesting thing to document, but it's not unique. It has been documented in the North Atlantic before. Their recorder was out for 8 months, and 6 of the 8 months they heard whale song. And 42% of the total days that the hydrophone was recording had whale song on it. The peak was in February. But they noted that in March and April, that's when the song was like performed in its most complete form. So like there was like snippets of song and lots of like parts of song in December, January, February, but March and April, they were like getting through a whole song cycle, and that was being recorded. So that was kind of interesting.
Imagine sometimes humpbacks just like it pops in their head like a couple of the words, and then it's like they can't stop. You know how like randomly you get a word stuck in your head?
Yeah, or just like, one line of the song.
They just get like a one-liner, and that's why you hear the ooh. Or
Just like,
Adam's favorite
do,
noise,
do,
like
do, 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 do. That's all you remember.
Yeah.
So what they were speculating is that based on visual surveys that have not been corroborated with acoustics, or like they just didn't have the acoustics to match the visuals, is that Norway could be a stopover location for whales on migration. So it's like one of those places where they get their last meals on their way down, or one of the places they get their first meals on their way up. And whales that are seen in Norway use both sides of the Atlantic for breeding. I don't know what the overlap is, but they do have whales from Norway go all the way to the West Indies. So that's the Caribbean. And then they also have them go to the Cape Verde Islands. So
But where now? Who? Huh?
let's Google it.
Cape Verde?
Yeah, I
Sounds
think
like
that's like
Spain.
way.
I've been there.
You have?
Yeah.
It's off the coast
Back
of
in the early
Africa,
90s.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
it's like
It's like the Seychelles.
I'm pretty sure it's north of Tenerife.
Wait,
Let me look.
Cabo Verde.
Not the Seychelles.
Tenerife is it's way
Oh,
south.
it's south of Tenerife. The Canaries, yeah, south of the Canaries.
Canaries,
So,
that's what I meant.
and it's technically it's a little further south. Well, let's see, where's the DR? It's a little bit further south, but pretty close to the same latitude as the Dominican Republic, but on the
What?
opposite
So
side
it's
of the
like
Atlantic.
down there. So it's like so that's like the South Africa humpbacks.
No. This is like
What?
North Atlantic. They're not crossing the
South
equator.
Africa, dude. They're
Yeah.
way up in the north of Africa.
You said
Yeah,
oh okay, gotcha.
yeah.
South of
So
the
you have
Canaries,
you
but
have
not
humpback
South
whales
is- yeah,
that
gotcha.
use Norway at some point in the year, go down either side of the Atlantic, the east or the west side of the Atlantic for breeding, which is interesting.
Dude, that'd be cool.
Which
Cool
I think
humpback
that's
whale
what basically the
population to check
entire
out.
southern hemisphere looks like, right? They all gather towards the Western Antarctic Peninsula, and then they just go up every direction from there.
Yeah.
Adam, how fun would it be to go on a I guess like the splash thing, but like go on our own Pokemon hunt and just try to get IDs everywhere, like Norway, Iceland, Greenland, Africa. You know what I mean? Like just do them all over.
So cool.
Maybe
Let's do it.
someday when global travel is reopened, we can do
Sierra
whale
Leone.
nerd trips everywhere.
That's definitely gonna happen.
So then they also, in addition to thinking that Norway is a stopover location on migration, they also speculated that the song could be evidence that males are not migrating, but still singing in the same months, regardless of the location they're in. So like maybe some males are choosing just completely to forego migration for some reason, but they still will perform song. They're still getting some sort of trigger to perform the song during the months that they normally would. They're just not at those low
Migrate.
latitudes.
Gotcha. Interesting.
I just feel like I've been hearing them singing every night, like the whole summer. Though.
Yeah.
Like I really don't think they ever stop here.
I mean, you and I talked about this
Besides when they're gone.
yesterday, I think, is like especially in Monterey Bay, it's a very interesting place because you have whales that are potentially going to one of 3 breeding grounds, and 2 of them definitely have quite distinct songs from one another. So it's like, which breeding ground song are they singing? Are they singing last year's, or are they singing what's going to be this year's? Is it actually complete song? And like, what's the role there? So like, this is a big mixing place for humpback whales on a feeding ground, and we're hearing singing often.
They're probably
Yeah, it's
learning
so
from the other
weird.
population.
So like, is that a site of like song composition changes? Is like, there's more happening there than anyone's really looking at.
Interesting.
You know what would be amazing? You know how there's Fran and then there's this whale inverse. Have you heard of inverse, Caitlin?
Yeah.
Okay, so they're seen together like I
A
think
lot.
like every time.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not every time, but they're a lot. They've been seen together over
Yeah.
years, right? Okay, what if like inverse? It's not true, but like what if inverse was like all the way down in the Costa Rican population? Like, so what if there was whales that hung out here, but they go to different breeding grounds? You know what I'm
Oh
saying?
yeah, like they don't. Yeah.
Like they
they're-
feed together and group up, but then
Yeah.
like They just don't go to the same place. Like,
Well,
one to
How do
and
they
two.
freaking find each other, dude? Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
how
well,
does Fran and Inverse meet up again the next year?
right.
How?
Even if they are from the same breeding ground, how do they meet up? Because they don't show up together.
They know each other, bro.
Yeah.
They're freaking crazy.
They have
Whales
cell
are-
phones. They have. I was talking to the guy tonight, dude. Okay, we were watching these whales feed in a group, and then out of nowhere, all the sea lions just went to rafting mode and stuck their freaking flippers up and
Mhm.
started thermoregulating. And then I'm like, well, I was like waiting for the humpbacks to come up. Then they pop up like halfway between another bird school that's like a half mile away, and I'm just like, how? How did you know what's over there? You didn't. No one told
Well, I'm
you.
sure they could hear it.
Yeah, but how? Like, you're telling me, like,
Well, okay.
over the
so-
wind, the boat, the waves, the
Yeah,
hair, the ears,
yeah.
like.
I think they can.
When-
I think they have some sort of their
Yeah,
own
I-
echolocation.
I think
Can
they
you
have
hear?
something.
Here's a question. At night, when there's traffic, airplanes, and wind, can you still hear the dog in the next building
Yeah,
barking?
Caitlin
just
just
saying.
threw you under the bus.
I don't care what you have to say, Caitlin. They have X-ray vision. I think humpbacks can see through the whole bay at once.
I think
Yeah,
they
it's
can
called
too.
their hearing.
I think no. I think that little gelatinous thing between their thing is an eyeball of the bay. They can see whatever they want. You're telling
Get
me
Nick
these whales-
Heinzen back on here and be like, bro, your thing
They
is
don't-
wrong.
they don't just go 2 miles for no reason. Like they don't just like they don't immediately turn. Like I think another thing is I really don't think they waste time. Even when they're resting, they aim at another school of bait. Like
Yeah.
tonight I saw Ratchet. He left. I'm really getting good at these names lately. Tonight I saw Ratchet and he left the nubbin and he like aimed towards Marina. And I feel like he was aimed that way for a reason.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just saying they can see through the water.
There's definitely
feel
way
like they
more
have
going
to-
on.
They have their
then-
own sort of like echolocation. Like it's not created by melon, and they're not. like,
Yeah, well,
receiving
and
it,
that's
but they
been-
have some sort of like
I don't believe their little
sound they're
whiskers can
making, or
feel.
like
No, but
or
that
even
the
their tubercles or like
baleen
something.
whale,
Dude.
some sort of biosonar has
Yes,
been
exactly.
speculated before. Because they do have still like a very dish shaped
They
like
do.
forehead, and so
Forehead,
like
yeah.
it may not work through the lower jaw like
Jaw, yeah.
We're gonna figure it
Dolphins.
out. Let's figure it out.
How are we gonna figure it out?
I don't know. How do you test
Adam.
that?
Adam.
First, step
you got
one,
face.
train a humpback whale to speak a language you understand.
No, then
Step two,
you gotta
ask it all the questions you want answered.
Why don't we just do an
Teach sign
X-ray of their
language, it's fine.
head? Has anyone thought to put one in an MRI machine?
you need a pretty
man.
big
Imagine they have
machine.
little tiny bats that fly around their big heads and they echolocate for
Wait,
them.
now they're recruiting other mammals?
Oh, wait, I'm confused.
Um,
Symbiotic
The-
relationships.
the other thing I would say is what I really someday, when I'm not so busy, which I don't know when that's going to be, is I would really like to do a mini episode about the properties of sound in water, because it's so much different than air.
Different than air.
It's faster,
So much
it's
different.
louder, different wavelengths attenuate differently. Temperature and salinity have things to do with it. Like it's just like a whole different world, literally. And like we are not adapted to hear in water at all. So like us trying to explain it is like,
It's a whole lot of science right there.
yeah, like we just like we don't get it. So like we don't have the right words to describe it because like we can't do it.
Yeah.
So
What do they have, like gills in their ears?
they got all kinds of stuff going on in their ears, but I don't think they have gills in there.
Just joking.
Yeah, there's something going on, dude. Because like I agree, like it's just like how do they
And
find-
everything-
even-
I mean,
don't know.
everything goes through the ears, right? I mean, regardless of whether you're tooth whale or baleen whale, because like you could have really good eyesight, but especially in Monterey,
It's
it doesn't
murky as
matter.
hell.
You can't see through the plankton.
It was brown
Yeah.
today. Like
Yeah.
in some
So-
spots.
Like that means your hearing takes over for a lot of it.
That's why I don't get it. How are they feeding at night?
I think they can hear it, they can feel
Like
it.
you're telling me right now, when I lost all light and they lost all light underwater, definitely. How are they still lunge feeding at the surface?
Because they know where the fish are.
Yeah, well, how are they not snacking?
You know, it would be
snacking sea lions
interesting.
more often?
I just thought of this. What would be interesting, and I have no idea how you would record it, is do they still use bubbles at night? Or is it because there's no light, the bubbles are not a good tool against the fish?
I don't know. I did see bubbles tonight, but it was more so when they were like lunging that they were bubbling like out of the water. So
Yeah.
I'm talking about like Alaskan.
Like what if you went to Alaska in the fall, like, and it's definitely
all you gotta
getting
do is
dark
ask
out.
one of those guys that listen. Who's Fred Sharp? Who's the guy that listens to them up there?
Fred. Yeah, that would be a question for Fred Sharp.
If that's
literally what he's up there studying right now. So I should just email him and ask him.
Think about it. If he listens to them at night, he knows I'm pretty sure he like knows their calls down to like when he knows they're gonna lunge.
No, he does. Yeah.
So it's like if he hears that call at night, he knows they're gonna lunge, but he won't know if they're doing bubble blast. So
no, but they do make a noise when they're bubble blasting, because like some of them are bubble blasting and some of them are trumpeting at the same time.
Dude, I had a mom and calf the other day when I had that crazy lunge feed close to the boat, and the mom goes like at the surface, and then the calf did it too.
Oh, like she blew a raspberry?
Like she fully like mimicked the mom. Yeah, it was funny.
That's cute.
Yeah.
Okay, so speaking of mom calves, that's a good segue for this other paper that I have prepared.
Nice. I love good segues.
So this one is in Nature. Let's see. I will pull it up. It is Scientific Reports, and it was published. Where did it go? August of 2021. So fairly hot off the press here. It's allopatric humpback whales of differing generations share call types between foraging and wintering grounds. This paper is pretty detailed, and I will admit that I was quite tired going through it. So here is my very brief recap. They took humpback whale calls from feeding grounds in the North Atlantic and the North Pacific, and they also took humpback whale calls from the Hawaiian Islands. And this is across many, many decades. There's like 80s and 2010s, and like there's a lot of time going on between these. And they were able to distill like 5 call types that were universal kind of across all that time and space. And they think that those calls could be some sort of like universal sound, like maybe it's like a building block sound that they make, and it serves an important role among humpbacks that they rearrange into different meanings. And so they think that the composition of those sounds, or like the order of those sounds, definitely relies on context. And they do think that those could be universal important calls that have something to do with mediation of social interactions. So coordinating a group, mom and calf communication, feeding or breeding information, like for group interactions specific to those locations, but you're still hearing the same call type, just used in a different context. So kind of interesting, like you can use, and they said these 5 call types you could definitely use as humpback whale repertoire, like reference information. So if you're like picking up weird sounds on a hydrophone and you hear one of those, you can be like, this is definitively a humpback whale call, because no matter where you are in the world, you may hear one of those 5 sounds.
That's crazy.
So
do you think there's another species on this, or another group of animals on this planet as complex as cetacea besides Homo sapien?
Other primates.
But do they have these intricacies that cetaceans have?
I mean, they have a lot of nonverbal intricacies that we don't see in cetaceans.
I know, but like when you talk about language, right, and how language can portray a sense of intelligence, like besides humans, I mean, I guess birds sing to each other and stuff like that, you know, and I think birds are a lot smarter than people give them
well,
credit
and birds
for.
have some species of birds like even have adjectives.
Yeah, you should check out, I don't know if you read The Genius of Birds, but that's a really good, very quick read book on bird intelligence. Also,
Beyond Words by Carl Safina is another good one. and he talks about elephants.
Yeah, I
And
guess so.
even like prairie dogs have adjectives. Like they'll say
that's
a
very
male
true.
in a blue shirt walked by, and then another person will walk by, like another male will walk by in a green shirt, and they'll be like, a male in a green shirt walked by.
That's funny.
It's just like I wonder, like you were saying, you know, how just the aspect of how sound travels and is, you know, comprehended in the water, how that changes, you know, the complexities of being able to of having to communicate in the ocean, you know, just like how that changes things. I'm sure it's just, it vastly complicates things, right? So you have to be able to compensate for that.
Well, what if they hear those sounds that they're making differently than we hear them too?
Oh, I 1000%
absolutely.
think they do, because their ears are meant to be saturated in water.
Yeah.
Whereas ours
Well, that's
are
what I'm
not.
saying, right? Like we say humpback whales have what? You say 5 different calls or noises, right? Or whatever.
At least that remains
sure,
stable. Yeah.
To them, that could be 100 different.
And they can do a couple of
different connotations.
Yep.
Or
and they can make 2
or...
completely different sounds at the same time.
Oh God, I love whales. What the heck, dude? Why can't I just take one, miniaturize it, and shove it in my pocket? And
Later Moore's mini mammals.
Adam, whoa, you just told people my business. You don't want me to go on a mini mammal rant.
No, we don't have time for that tonight.
Adam, I want to tell you something about my passenger today. I forgot, and I know it'll make you happy. He went out with Silver Shark Adventures.
Oh my boy! Really? What trip did he do?
A couple times. He did the Bahia de Los Angeles. He went and saw like blue whales, fin whales, and sperm whales or something. And then they took him over to do the gray whales too.
Yeah, so I'm trying to do that trip in February. Charlie's gonna hook me up. I guess
he's booked for like 3 years.
He's booked for like 3 years, but he's like, hey bro, like if you want to come, just freaking let me know. And I'm like, oh.
That guy told me that he booked a trip, and I forget what he said the dates were, but he said there's like 2 people that can't go. And so,
oh really?
Yeah, I was like, well, I'll bring my wife, but if she doesn't want to go, my boy Adam probably want to go.
I think I'm going. I think I'm going to do it in this February. I think because I love the idea of going to Bahia de Los Angeles for 3 or 4 days and then spending the other 3 or 4 days doing gray whales. Because dude, like BDLA, yeah, BDLA is like crazy. My friend was just there and she was literally staring a false killer whale in the face as it was like echolocating and like looking and like turning, and so epic, so cool.
Great.
We should do that. We should rent out Charlie for a whaler trip.
Well, yeah, in the future.
Epic. That would be so cool.
But in the meantime, we're gonna do a whaler trip in October.
Yes, we are. 12 spots left. Come on, people. Come hang out with us.
Join us.
It's gonna. I'm so excited.
Caitlin sounded so tired. It's freaking literally
Join us.
It's like
midnight.
literally 1 a.m.
It's midnight.
Midnight, and she's like, "Join us."
Let's end this. Let's end this so Caitlin can go to sleep. What's our whale of the week? Ooh, that's a tough one. We talked about a lot of different whales today. Northern right whale, dolphins.
Make it short beak common dolphin.
Ooh, short beak common dolphin.
But it was all about humpbacks.
Yeah, well, humpbacks get the limelight every day in our podcast.
I mean, that's true.
They're the most
common.
Sperm whales. We talked about sperm whales a little bit.
Short beak common dolphin.
Okay, short beak common dolphins.
Yeah. Thanks.
Adam, how weird is
much.
it? Wait, hold on, I'm not done. Adam, how weird is it that you saw Rizzo's in comments today and I saw Rizzo's in comments today?
That's super weird because
I
you don't see him that very. Oh. Well, it's funny. It's actually cool because it's the opposite. We don't see Rizzo's that often, and you don't see comments that often.
Yeah, and why did we have like 10? Where the hell's the rest
of
their family at?
They got lost.
They probably got distracted by the dolphins with no dorsal fin. They're like,
what are these things? I've never seen one before. It's not a sea lion.
They're like, we're going back to San Clemente Island.
I can't handle this. This is too weird up here.
It's too cold.
Yeah.
All right.
They're like, maybe it froze off.
Yeah, exactly. They're frostbitten dolphins.
Okay. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. We really appreciate it, especially if you made it this far into the podcast.
Yes.
If you're
This
not
is the
following
part
us
where
on
we get loopy.
if you're not following us on social media, it's at Whale Nerds on basically everything. Our website, though, is thewhalenerds.com. You can find more information about our trip, our podcast, about us, and all sorts of good information on there.
And thank you to our recent donor to our film project, and then also our new patron on Patreon. So we really appreciate your support, and welcome to the Whale Nerds VIP section, I would say, on Patreon.
Skeet, skirt.
We really appreciate your support, because without your contributions every month, we would not be able to make this podcast happen. So thank you so much. If you want to join on Patreon, it's patreon.com/whale nerds. And there's even a tier that's only $1 a month. But if you don't have $1 a month, you could also just subscribe or rate or review the podcast somewhere. That also helps us get more listeners and reach more people. So yeah, thanks.
Thanks for listening, y'all.
Good night. Almost good morning on the East Coast.
Get some sleep.
Bye.